and in these ridiculous videos. So now there's nobody there to teach them. So they become these negative warrior spirits that become rebellious. And we say, oh, they're rotten kids. They're really not rotten. They just have no guidance. And unfortunately, it gets to the point some of them get so deep in, and sometimes there's, it's hard to get them back on that path. And that's something we got to take responsibility for. We can't sit there and blame the white man for that when we throw our kids in front of BET all day and MTV and all this other garbage, and they're watching this crap, and then we want to sit there and say the very system we're trying to destroy is the very system we support. Like I said, why are you watching Empire? Empire is another negative stereotype about melanated people. So don't sit there and say you're about taking down the system when you support it daily on a regular basis. I just find that ignorant to me. I don't watch any of that stuff. I love sports, and that can be bad too. I love comedy. I watch a lot of old school stuff. That's just me. So I'm not saying don't entertain yourself, don't become a religious fanatic. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying balance what you watch. You'll find out, here's a science. Connect with what you connected with at your most vibrant time in your youth. It keeps you young. The music you listen to should be music from an era when you were your most vibrant, because it keeps you young. The reason why you can't relate, and I reflect back to my father, always criticizing the music we listened to as kids. A lot of that rap music you guys are listening to. And he came up listening to a lot of old school R&B, blues music, doo-wop music. I find myself doing it now. I listen to 80s and 90s music all the time. That's just the era I grew up in, and it keeps me young. I can't listen to this new stuff. I can't relate to it. Now, I get it. I can connect to the youth. I understand it's their generation. But you'll find, rather than criticize it, you'll find the reason why you don't like it is because you just can't connect with it. And that's okay. I'll watch TV shows like Martin and the Wayans Brothers because I can connect with it, because I actually feel like I'm back at that time when I'm watching it. The only thing I'll watch new, I don't watch reality TV. I think it's disgusting, number one. Number two, I'm a huge sports fan. It's probably something I need to get under control, because that can become detrimental too. That's not always a good thing. So I'm not saying don't entertain yourself, because you need that balancement. That's part of the root chakra too. There's a time to go out, spend a little money on a nice dinner. There's nothing wrong with that. Anybody that tells you being successful financially doesn't correlate to being spiritual, get far away from them as you can. Because 9 out of 10 times they're broke ass bums that ain't got no money, and they want you to be miserable with them. So they affiliate being broke with being spiritual. That's not what spiritual is. Let's clarify that. So you get criticized for driving a nice car, having a nice house, living in a nice neighborhood. Oh, now all of a sudden you're not down with the cause. You're not spiritual. Don't let nobody tell you that. That's a bunch of crap. Okay? You're supposed to be successful. You're not supposed to struggle. You're not supposed to reach in your pocket and pull out lint. You understand? Anytime you want to go out somewhere, you should be able to go out somewhere, and within reasoning and balancement. That's all that I'm saying. So I want to clarify that, because I get a lot of emails. People are trying to accept the fact that they're struggling financially and correlate that to being spiritual. That's no. I don't agree with that. If you do, that's your business. Power to you. But all I can say is this: when you know how to petition the cosmic, work with the chakras, work magic, when you just ask for what you need, not what you want. There's two different things. See, we work magic and ask for what we want. Well, the cosmic may dictate that's not what you need. There's a difference. You say, this doesn't work, I need $1 million. That's not how this works. You understand? When you petition the cosmic for what you need, you will never be without. I can tell you this from experience. I don't worry about what car or cars I'm going to be driving. I don't say this from a spooky perspective. I don't worry about what house I'm going to be living in. You understand? I have a nice house, I have a good family, I have a good car, I have the money that I need. That's all I want. It's not about being a millionaire, but it's about being successful and being consistent. If along that route, that millions of dollars come, then the cosmic willed it. It was supposed to happen because you brought it into existence. So I'm not saying don't aim. Have the highest goals for yourself, by all means. But don't associate being broke with being spiritual. I hate that. It's the biggest myth. So no, I don't agree with that. Because people will say, well, it's about sacrificing for the cause.
But remember, it's easy for a camel to go to the eye of an eagle than a rich man.
Right.
Right?
Right. That's biblical, yeah. Well, now here's the thing. It's easy. Here's the thing. Okay? Do you know what that's really talking about? Do you know there's a wall when you get to the Middle East that's an opening? That's not literally talking about that. It's called the eye of the needle. And it's an area that was hard to penetrate when you get over to what they're calling Palestine, the Israel area. And you could barely get through it, so they used that term and correlated it to a metaphysical principle in the Bible. So yeah, but religious people will use that. That kills me. That will kill me all the time, yeah. Like I say, you know, I don't want to get into that, but I usually don't have luck with religious people. They usually run far from you. All right, so 3.5 to 8 years old, colors that are associated with the sacral chakra: orange, amber, and gold. Gold, I can attest to, works very effective, especially when I burn gold candles. Gold is a powerful element. If I work with the deity Kali Ma, if you burn gold and white with Kali Ma when working with this sacral chakra and focusing on that archetype energy, I notice this is a powerful tool. And gold candles, if you get access, you can get them. Several spots that go stack up on. You should always have a good supply of gold candles, for real. I use the orange, but I find the orange is just not as effective. That's just me. Now somebody else might use the orange and get wonders with it, and it might work very effective for them. I don't have as much success with the orange or the amber than I do with the gold. It seems like the gold, it emits a more powerful energy. When I'm doing contemplative meditation, and when I really zone in on it, it emits more of a powerful etheric energy when I work with it. That's just me. All right. Fragrances, musk and amber. Again, musk is more effective. I use that with the root chakra. Amber, I know people have had tremendous success working with it. All right. Stimulating fragrances, rosemary and rose geranium. Rosemary works very well with this. Now, when you're using the fragrances, there's two things you can do. You can also use the oil and burn them in an oil lamp, or you can take some and put it in the location of that chakra on your body to stimulate it. That works very effective too. So either or is effective. If you want to ingest it aroma-wise, to me it's not as effective as taking it and putting it on the actual physical location of that chakra in the body. It tends to activate it a little bit better. All right? Crystals associated with it and gemstones: amber, citrine, topaz, which works very effective for me, moonstone, and jasper. All right? Anybody have any questions on that? All right. Now, you mentioned sexuality. That was you, right?
Yes.
All right, we're adults, right? We're going to have an adult conversation right now. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's okay.
You okay? All right. Not that you're older, but I just want to make sure I was okay with your dad. This deals with tantric sex, sexuality, the act of sex. All right. Now, another thing we have to get back to when dealing with tantric sex magic, very effective tool in a successful and healthy relationship. Now, most of us, if we're just having sex for pleasure, if we're just having sex as a man, if you're just trying to get your ejaculation off, and vice versa, if you're a woman just for pleasure, that only serves one purpose. Nothing. And I'm going to tell you why. Doesn't mean we don't have sex for pleasure. That's not what I'm saying. Because anybody that says they don't do it for that part of that reason, they're full of crap. That's number one. So I don't care. So I'm not portraying it as just completely spiritual. But there is a spiritual act taking place at all times. Now remember, women are internal, men are external. This is important to understand when exchanging sexual energies. Woman, because she's internal, not just by way of the menstrual cycle, we haven't even gotten into menopause, we'll talk a little bit about that. She's able to cleanse herself internally, okay? And the man is cleansed by the female. Now you'll find in some ancient cultures, by drinking the menstrual cycle, I don't want nobody to leave here, because Benita didn't tell nobody to do this. I don't want nobody to leave here saying that I told you to do this, but you make that decision yourself. By ingesting the woman's menstrual cycle, who was spiritually in tune, a man would be able to cleanse himself, and the woman internally cleanses herself. It is not good for a woman to intake too many sexual partners at one time. I'm not talking about back in the day when it was polygamy, when it was done for specific reasons. We're talking about today a woman that may be sexually active with too many partners, because what happens is DNA is exchanged, saliva through sperm, any form of DNA that's exchanged, that becomes part of your DNA, especially if you're a female and it works as a man. This is why you'll find out, as I mentioned before, in relationships, why you can't get over a certain person, because that person overcame your DNA. And you say, oh man, that brother's whipped. That sister treats him like garbage. Why can't he get over? Well, that's the reason. Vice versa. There's a female that's with a man that's treating her like garbage, and no matter how bad he treats her, she can't get away from him. There's something keeps drawing her back. Well, that's usually because one's DNA overpowered the others. And you got to understand, when you have the act of sex, it takes 5 to 7 years to get that genetic DNA out of your system. That's a scientific fact. So you need to know that when really understanding what the sexual act is. Now, the build-up when working with the sacral chakra, the man is supposed to build up the sperm to its highest potency before releasing or ejaculating. There's many tantric practices that can be done for that to take place. Many heightened rituals, different positions, different methods of stimulating certain aspects of certain sexual organs. It's not just you turn over, flip to the back, and I'm going to finish. That's not what this is about. Do you understand? If you really want to get more in depth with it, and especially when working with this chakra, this is where you need to apply your tantric sex practices. You'll find out relationships will stay healthy, number one. It adds more vibrancy to the relationship, number two. Because what tends to happen is why most relationships fail. And this is a tough thing, because genetically it's not just male. This is female also. More so with males than it is females, because females can discipline it more. It's not in our nature to just be attracted to one person. I don't care what anybody says. Don't let nobody BS you. Do not think your woman does not look at other men, and vice versa. Do not think your man does not look at other women. That's just a fact. I don't care what anybody says. You can profess whatever you want outwardly. I don't care. Because I know you're saying that to defend yourself. I look at beautiful women. I'm not ashamed to say it. That's a fact. You understand? We need to want to address the reality of it. That's number one. So we live in a society and a time where it's hard for us to be imposed. This whole monotheistic concept of monogamy is something that came from the European. Let's establish that. But there's a system to it. It doesn't mean you can just run wild and go screw anybody you want. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying is, one, you have to address all of the negative bullshit that applies to you that's holding you down. You cannot go forward until you do that. That's number one. The sex force is one method that destroys a lot of us spiritually, because we don't know how to discipline and we don't know how to work with it. We either run amok and we're messing with anything that walks because we can't control our physical desires. We have to learn to appease them but not be controlled by them. There's a difference. So I always tell people this. Most people I find when I do consultations, their relationships are amok because they don't even communicate to each other what they like sexually. And these are people that have been together 15, 20 years. I said, well, let me ask you a question. Do you know exactly what your wife likes sexually? And they'll give me basics. And then I'll ask the woman, no, because they're both afraid that they may like something that the other one may not, and then they might find out they both might like the same thing. I'm telling you, this is a reality. So I always tell people, when it comes to working with this chakra and dealing with tantric sex,